How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Devin the Bear. Today is post UFC 266. A lot of good things to discuss and a lot of bad things to really talk about. To be honest with you, that's how I feel coming into this. I don't know, it was pretty. I felt like it was a very underwhelming card when the fights actually happened. But that being said, though, I mean, it doesn't take away from some of the great fights that we did see. Just to really get things started, we ended up starting off with some great finishes. We saw Matt Simmelsberger come in with a 15-second knockout. It was the second fight on the prelims. He knocked that dude out cold. Also to mention, Jonathan Pierce came in. He started the card off with a rear naked choke. I always like to see big cards like this start off with finishes.
Yeah.
And great fights. I mean, it just makes it even better. But I really want to go back to this Matthew Simmelsberger knockout, dude. He slept that dude. Like, it was bad, you know. I remember watching that with Zach, and it was just like we sat there and watched it, and it's just I don't know, he put that hand on him. So
yeah, and that's what he's been doing pretty much his whole time in the UFC. I want to say his only loss in the UFC possibly his only loss in his career is to Chaos Williams, and it was by decision. Both guys just couldn't knock each other out.
Yeah, and yeah, man, it's kind of, you look at his record, he's 9-3 with 6 knockouts. So he has 66% chances to knock somebody out, and that says a lot about somebody, especially at welterweight, you know.
Yeah.
So on to some of the prelims. We saw Chris Daukaus get a very happy birthday with a great knockout in the second round over Shamil Abdurakhmonov.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna correct you. Yeah, no, that was a really good one. When you watch it in slow motion, you see the spit go flying everywhere. It was nasty.
It was disgusting. I only caught the second round of this fight. I didn't see the first round, but apparently, Chris Daukaus and Paul Felder said he knocked him out twice in that fight. So,
yeah.
Did you ever end up going back and watching it?
Yeah, it was like on the ground, or no, it was on the feet. But then I think that's when he knocked the spit out of him, and then they stop it.
Yeah.
Later on when it was on the ground.
Yeah.
But it was pretty solid.
Yeah, it was. And then we saw Dan Hooker and Nazrat Hakparsarov. I don't know, man. Nazrat versus Dan. It was a good fight.
Hakparest.
Thank you. And so they, I don't know, it was an okay fight, but it was cool to see these guys come all the way out of their way. They've been through hell and back just to get to this card, you know?
Yeah. They wanted to fight, and they showed they wanted to fight by not being able to get their work visa to come to the U.S. and fight, and it took the 2 days before at the earliest to get here, and then they only had 24 hours to cut weight or finish cutting weight to get down to the fight weight to weigh in. So
and during this training camp also, Nazrat's mother passed away.
Yeah.
So dealing with visa issues, just a bunch of stuff. And I remember whenever it came out that they both made weight, I remember you looked at me and you're like, see? And that's what makes a professional fighter. Is being a professional. They show up, and there's no reason why people should be missing weight. So just to really think about it, too, like we talked about, those guys had to be cutting weight before they got on the plane, flew. I think Nazrat trains in Canada, so it's not too bad or too hard for him to get down to Vegas. But you look at somebody like Dan Hooker, who comes all the way from a different continent on the other side of the world, you know, flies over here. Both these guys cutting weight, they make weight, and then they go out there and they do the best that they can. I think you could kind of tell that Nazrat looked kind of tired. The way that he's performed versus yesterday, he just seemed to be a step behind with everything. But also Dan Hooker's really good. Dan Hooker took a big risk taking a fight against an unranked fighter. Nobody does that, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was really cool to see that he called out Beneil Dariush,
which is an interesting call out, considering this is one of the first times we've seen Dan Hooker utilize his wrestling.
Yeah.
And I was calling out a wrestler.
Yeah. And what's it called? It was definitely a different call out, but I get it though. I mean, you know, you want to fight one of the best guys in the division. You know, everyone Dariush is saying he can't find a fight. Well, you just found one.
Yeah.
And you found it against a guy who's not very easy to take down either. So that'd be interesting. But the headline for the prelim was, in my opinion, the fight of the night as well is Marab Dvalishvili defeated Marlon Moraes by second round TKO. And this fight was going back and forth. I mean, this is kind of what I expected. Yeah. I think I picked Marlon to win, and I don't know why.
Probably just the upset.
Yeah, Probably needed the points on verdict. Sponsor us, please. So but yeah, man, it was just crazy. You saw Marab get hurt bad. Like he was on fucking chicken legs. He
He's
was
literally running away.
Yeah.
In the cage. It was pretty bad. But yeah, you see him get pretty rocked with some strikes, and he's doing his best to run away and keep Marlon off of him with some strikes, and eventually he's able to tie up.
Yeah.
From then on, we were both just like, oh, there it is.
Yeah, and I remember like yelling at the TV when we were here, and I was like, "You fucking idiot!"
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it, and it happened later on that night with another fight. Just like whenever you have somebody hurt, why do you rush in like that with your hands down, your hips? You're literally standing square up to the person who is a wrestler. You know,
Yeah.
Keep your
It just
space.
doesn't make any sense.
Keep your space. You know, it was like I mean, one of the best examples of it is when Adesanya knocked out Derek Brunson. He hurt him, and then he pressured him with enough distance to where Derek Brunson is obviously going to shoot him for the takedown, and then he just kept hurting him like that. You know.
Yeah, Dustin Poirier. I'll say that he got very good at when he knew he had someone hurt. He kept his distance and he picked his shots and keeps hurting them and finishes them that way.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, I remember, would say that he doesn't have knockout power, and it's not necessarily it doesn't have knockout power. It's that he's trying to pick his shots very well, so he doesn't get too crazy.
Yeah.
So you look at Marlon Moraes, who was going for those knockout punches, and it cost him.
Yeah, and it just after that. So the second Marab got him down, he was laying down some heavy ground and pound, and it looked like for a second Marlon Moraes went out towards the end of the round. He just stopped completely. I don't know why he does that, but he did the same exact thing with Henry Cejudo, and maybe it's just because he's so gassed, he's just laying there getting punched.
Yeah.
Marlon Moraes is a crazy knockout artist, but he's very well known that his Achilles heel has always been his gas tank. Just his gas tank is consistently questionable. In any fight he's in, you know, it's like it's kind of more of a waiting game. Okay, when are you gonna gas yourself out? But I think we're coming into that fight, like we saw it, and after that, Merab just put it on him. Coming in the second round, Merab just ended up like at one point, Keith Peterson was like, "I need some life out of you, Marlon."
And it looked like Marlon was dead.
Yeah, he looked like he was out cold, like, and he was just laying there getting punched,
face down in the mat.
And I think Merab was just I think he hit him at one point and woke him back up. And I wonder if like Marlon was out cold, and whenever he was like, "I need to see something, Marlon," he probably like thought it was his mom waking him up for school, and just like popped up out of bed real quick. But yeah, man. Then after that, we saw Merab end up getting the TKO on the ground. Marlon just couldn't take it anymore. But I mean, I can't blame him against a guy like Merab Dvalishvili. And I think we needed to see performance like that out of Merab though, to show that, because he's had nothing but decisions in the UFC.
Yeah.
And so we needed to see a finish.
And it was a finish on the ground, so that's good, because it shows like when he takes it to the ground, it's not necessarily he's going to sit there. He's going to ground and pound you.
Yeah.
But I think he also knew he had to finish that fight, because you don't want to stay in the cage with someone who's hurting you like that, like Marlon did in the first round. You want to if you get the position you want like that, like Merab does when he gets you on the ground, that's what he wants. And you know, if you get stood up or if you make it to the next round, you got to do that again.
Yeah.
And that guy's hurting you, just put him away.
Yeah, and so one of the things I said too, I think is after we left where we were watching the fights at, I had said, I bet you Sean O'Malley is wishing he took that fight against Merab now.
Yeah.
Because we just saw Merab shoot from number 11 to number 6 now. And, I mean, especially with the finish, and that's what I was saying too, to enter the top 10 on a finish against a guy who's 5 spots in front of you is very, very impressive, and it's good because it shows that, okay, like, you can come out there and you can take good hits and all that. But I mean, we'll just see what's next from Merab though. And so onto the main card, opened up with Cynthia Calvillo versus Jessica Andrade. Jessica Andrade was vintage Andrade.
Just a powerhouse.
Yeah.
Cynthia Calvillo just not quite ready to handle someone like Andrade.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of questions with what Cynthia Calvillo is going to bring to the table as a fighter now, though. I mean, I'm not that she's bad, but it's like, okay, like, you can't even get past her.
Yeah.
And I know it's a tough challenge and all, but Cynthia Calvillo is not very young. She's finally finding her footing at 125, you know, making weight now. But it's like, man, like, you can't lose these fights, though. Like, all these fights are important if you actually want to stick around in the UFC.
Yeah, that division's starting to look a lot like GSP's division
Yeah.
and Anderson Silva's division back in the day. Like,
Yeah.
you have all these great fighters, but they're just not good enough to beat
Yeah.
the champions. So they just kind of hang around each other, fighting
Yeah.
each other for a while, and it's like, okay.
That's what I feel like that's a perfect way to put the flyweight division. Like with the bantamweight division,
Yeah.
there's nobody there with like deep talent. I mean, there's people there with potential, but nobody in there stands out. Like where you look at the strawweight division. Strawweight's the Shark Tank division, in my opinion.
For sure.
You know. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. It was just I wasn't really surprised when Andrade got the win. It was kind of expected, you know. But either way, so we saw the next fight was the heavyweight, and this is kind of where the tide turns, in my opinion, for the pay-per-view. It was Curtis Blades beat Jairzinho Rozenstruik by decision, and this fight fucking sucked.
Freaking shocker.
Yeah.
It's crazy. No one expected this.
I remember the people we were watching the fights with, some of them keep up with the fights, but some of them really don't. They just like to watch the big fights, and that's cool too. And I remember like right before it started, I was like, "This fight's gonna suck." By the way, like just a heads up, guys. Like y'all might find something to do because this fight's gonna suck. And then somebody was like, "This fight fucking sucks." I'm like, I literally just said that like 7 minutes ago. Like I told you this fight was gonna suck. And
really, all it was Rozenstruik just couldn't stop the takedown.
Yeah.
And he showed that he was ready for it.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't enough.
And at one point, they were just staring at each other in the second round, and I'm like, Mark Smith, you need to tell these fucking guys to fight. Like, this. That's why I remember after that fight, I looked at you and I was like, that was almost as boring as Ngannou versus Lewis. Yeah. It was just a drag. Like, it was just. And then I called it before the fight even started. I was like, Curtis Blades is gonna win and call for a title shot, and that's exactly what he did. And I'm like, dude, like, okay, you can't call for a title shot. Like, you're 1-1 in your last two. You got knocked out by a guy who just fought for the interim title, not even the real title. You got knocked out cold, and then you want to fight the guy that's beaten you twice in the matter of minutes put together. And it's like that fight doesn't make sense. Ciryl gone.
Yeah.
I mean, you want the winner or loser of the Stipe versus Ciryl gone, but I mean, sorry, not Stipe versus Ciryl gone, of Ngannou versus Ciryl gone, but you need performances better than that. That's not a performance you want to call for a title shot for. If you want to call for a title shot after getting knocked out by both guys in the top 3, top 4, I mean, you know, you have to finish these guys. You're able to control these guys however you want, and you're not doing anything with it. Like, we watched a guy like Juan Adams, right? Juan Adams goes out there, yeah, we know he's going to wrestle now. I didn't know he was a wrestler until we started watching him at Fury. And but he goes out there and he puts it on him, and he tries to finish the fight.
The one we saw in the Escapade, he picked that dude up and slammed him. Yeah. Threw him over his head and slammed him on the ground. I was like, these freaking giants are doing this. That's freaking crazy.
Fucking picked him up like a baby. And then even in the title fight, what's it called? I don't know. When he fought he won the Fury Championship, he just controlled that guy, but he's consistently just grinding you out, but in a not boring way like Curtis Blades.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just not a fan of. I've never been a fan of Curtis Blades. And that just kind of solidified it. And I'm like, dude, get the fuck out of here. I think what it really kind of put the nail in the coffin was whenever he fought Alexander Volkov, and he was talking all that shit, saying he's gonna beat the shit out of Volkov, and then he took him down, laid on him the whole fight. But I don't know. For me, it's like the ref needs to stand somebody up. Like, this is ridiculous. I understand if he's punching him, but still, like, these are just little rabbit punches.
At one point, Curtis Blades was in side control, and Jairzinho Rozenstruik was sitting there with his knee up, trying to stop him from going to full mount. And I was just like, but why? Blades isn't trying to go to full mount.
Yeah.
He's got the widest stance possible. He's not even going to try to go to full mount. You need to get up.
Yeah. And I don't know. It just makes me really happy that he got sent to the shadow realm by Derek Lewis even more. I know it's fucked up. But, hey, I don't know. Fuck that fight. And
it really, it was a snooze fest for sure. And after that, unfortunately, in our opinions, and I'm saying that assumingly, but the Valentina and Lauren Murphy fight was just okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Lauren showed that she's definitely tough.
Yeah.
And gritty, just like she said she was.
Yeah.
But I think Valentina won that fight after the first round.
Yeah.
And then just coasted. And then finally decided, okay, it's time to finish this.
Yeah. Well, actually, we skipped over the Robbie Lawler fight.
Oh, did we? Crazy.
Because it was one to forget. What's it called? I figured that was a little intentional bite. Hey,
I forgot it. I really did.
I know. I was gonna say I don't blame you. Everybody was talking about how good of a fight this is, and I'm probably gonna have the unpopular opinion. That was not a good fight.
They were probably watching the one 17 years ago.
Yeah, that was a good fight.
They probably were like, "Oh, look up the Robbie Lawler fight," and then they watched that, thinking it was happening last night.
Hey, no bullshit. The rematch was so bad for me that I went and rewatched the first fight when I got home. I was like, I need.
Was it good?
Yeah. Which actually I caught something. In both fights, Nick Diaz has started off with a wild kick.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm gonna make a short about that because I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Just a little throwback right there. But we saw Nick Diaz walk out. He walked out to ceremony by Deftones, and I think there was some subtleness, like there's a hidden message right there and why he walked out to that song. If you look up the lyrics to that song, it's just really talking about how like I'm doing the best that I can, but I can't do this anymore. I'm not built for this anymore. And the second he like turned around and looked at the cage, like he didn't want to face the cut man. And I was like, that's kind of weird. Like, why is he just staring? And then finally he like locks eyes with Robbie, and it just looks like he didn't want to be there. And he did say before, he said multiple times he didn't want to be there. But it's just, I don't know. It just, the second it starts though, I think within 3 minutes he looked gassed, and we never see Nick Diaz look gassed. He's throwing punches, and it looks like he's throwing punches in a dream. He looks super slow. And Nick Diaz doesn't put a bunch of power in his punches. That's just how he's always been. You can ask any guy who's ever really watched the Nick Diaz from whenever he went on his like legendary run in Elite XC and Strikeforce. He just punches you to punch you. Like, he just does it mainly to, like Frank Shamrock's talked about. He mainly, the way he fights, he does it to fuck with your breathing. He just tries to wear you out and just break you down. Frank Shamrock said that, like, whenever he would try to breathe out or breathe in, that's whenever he would jump in, or breathe out, that's when he would jump in, just to interrupt his breathing and shit. And we saw Nick Diaz that just was kind of a shell of himself. I think the past 6 years of, running a gym, partying every night, and just, living that lifestyle caught up to him, and I think we saw that night, last night.
Yeah. Robbie Lawler didn't look too great till the third round either.
Yeah.
The first 2 rounds, he had a couple seconds where he looked good. But other than that, he looked like he was in a sparring match or something. He was throwing these punches, and they were good combinations. The only punches that he looked like he was really committing to were to the body. And maybe that was a game plan, but I just wasn't too impressed either way.
Yeah. I mean, the only time Robbie Lawler looked like him, because the thing is, he's also up there in age too, people to forget about. He's up there in age as well, and I mean, his past few fights, he's looked like a shell of himself as well. And he talked about coming into this fight, I think he had a mental blockage when it came to being offensive, because he said he's been so worried about being defensively a better fighter. And so I think whenever the third round came, and it's like, I think I told you too when the first round happened, is like, Robbie could finish this fight at any time right now. Like, if he really wanted to just bum rush him, he could. And so the end of the third round was weird. We kind of saw some deja vu in the sense that it was a check right hook that dropped somebody, and that was really the end of the fight. Just like their first fight, it was a check right hook, and it was just, I don't know. It was pretty sad to see, because you see somebody that everybody loves in Nick Diaz not look like himself.
Yeah.
But, no, dude, he
gets you dropped and he just quit.
Yeah.
And that's not what anyone wanted to see. Did he go out, on his shield like a warrior? I don't know, maybe.
I don't think so.
Maybe to the best of his ability that night. Maybe. We don't know how he was feeling. So maybe. But it's not what we wanted to see. And, the whole reason that fight was even made is because it was one that people wanted to see.
Yeah.
It does nothing for anyone's rankings or stature and anything. It does nothing for anyone. So the only reason it happened is because people want to see it.
Well, it's like, I'm not sure we talked about it on our last episode, but we talked about GSP. Like, I wonder if Nick Diaz looks good. GSP's like, you know what? Yeah, fuck it, let's do it again. But I think after watching that fight, GSP's like, I don't want that fight.
No. Yeah, GSP, he's chilling.
Yeah, he's like, I'm good. I'm going to pass on that one.
And while we're talking about GSP, age is a factor. and Nick Diaz and Robbie Lawler. I'm not disputing that. But can we compare them to GSP for a second? GSP was roughly the same age when he went and beat Michael Bisping for the middleweight champion.
Yeah. I was thinking about the same thing last night.
And he was a killer that night. He dropped Bisping with shots, a head kick, and then some punches, and then got him in the rear naked so fast and put him to sleep. So where was that killer instinct from Lawler and Diaz?
He had almost 4 years off. And I was thinking about that too, because GSP didn't just he took off because he didn't want to fight, and that's not a bad thing. The motherfucker had been doing it forever, and he took off because he didn't want to fight, but he didn't stop training. He didn't He didn't just indulge.
And Robbie Lawler's been fighting this whole time.
Yeah.
So
with Robbie, I'm telling you, man, I think it's the coaching.
Henry Hooft.
Yeah, he's a great fighter. I don't think he's a very good head coach. He has some good fighters, but I don't know. I'm not a big fan of his gym. Back when they were something 365, and then before that he was with Black Zillions. I mean, Black Zillions were good, but I mean, I don't know.
There's a reason they're not around anymore.
Yeah, because Glenn Robinson passed away.
Well, Metro's still around.
Yeah. And so, what's it called? So there was it was just a very lackluster fight. I don't want to see Nick Diaz come back.
I don't. If he does, do something that he wants to do, and if he doesn't seem like he wants to do it, don't bother. Make him an 8 fight. I don't know, man.
So apparently there was the reason why he came back. A lot of people are speculating. He had a lot of investors in his jiu-jitsu school where he offers jiu-jitsu for kids who can't afford it. And apparently a lot of investors fell out. And so people screwed him over. So he really came back just to be able to afford to keep the gym open. And
well, if you would have won that fight, you would have gotten more money.
Well, if he would have stayed active. Yeah. I mean, okay, so everyone also, a lot of people talk about the suspension that, you saw to give him a 5-year suspension. That's not why he was out. That suspension got lifted and got turned in 18 months. He could have fought before that. He got suspended back in 2018 for not talking about his whereabouts with USADA. Not that big of a deal. Shit happens. But I doubt he was taking steroids in between that time. I seriously doubt that. But the thing is, though, is he could have fought any time in between that. He just chose not to. And if he doesn't like to do it, I get that. A lot of fighters openly say they don't really like to fight. They just do it because they're good at it. And they can make good money off of it. But I don't know. I think people need to really look into that suspension thing. It got lifted. It was never a thing. And so, on to the Shevchenko fight. We talked about that. Pretty boring fight. Shevchenko was...
I don't know if I'd say boring. It's just... I think it could have gone Shevchenko's way a lot sooner.
Yeah.
Because Lauren Murphy wasn't able to go in there and do what she wanted like she was hoping in the first round.
Yeah.
So from then on, it was like, okay, Valentina, this is your show. Where are you at?
It sucked to see because I expected a lot more out of Lauren Murphy, but I think the second she got shut down, she was like, fuck, what do I do?
She actually said something that I thought was pretty funny. She was like, I have no excuse, It's not like I didn't try. I went in there and I tried to the best of my ability. The only thing is every time I tried, I got hit and it would stop me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, yep.
And and that's pretty much what was happening too. If you look at her expression when she would get hit, she would just kind of back up and she wouldn't try it again. Yeah. And it's like, you're going to get hit. Like it's one of those things where I feel like especially with the Shevchenko fight, it's so hard because it's like you could easily try to make it a dog fight. But I don't think you want to have a dogfight with Valentina Shevchenko. Mm-hmm. And that's just because it's like she's just so precise and technical that it's like, okay, you're going to go in there just try to get in her face and get gritty with it. But, I mean, she's going to be able to pick her shots. It was just... And whenever Lauren got hit in that third round, leading up to the stoppage, she kept landing that check right hook. She landed that check right hook as soon as the fight started. And then she landed again in the third. That's what hurt Lauren. And you saw her kind of back up and she's looking away from Shevchenko while Shevchenko's punching her in the face. And I kept saying, I was like, I feel like she just got hit so hard she forgot she was in a fight. She's just trying to walk away. She's not even looking at Valentina. And that's kind of the beginning of the end. Whenever you see a fighter looking away from the other fighter who's punching them in the face.
I was really surprised that head kick didn't put her out.
Yeah. She's tough, man. I mean, I like Lauren Murphy a lot. I mean, fuck, I don't know. It's just she's a good fighter. It sucks to see. Like that's what one thing I told like my friend Zach last night that was with us is like imagine going on a 4 or 5 win streak in a pretty tough division and your fucking prize is you get to fight Valentina Shevchenko for the title.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's like have fun.
Excited.
Yeah, you earned it. And so, but yeah, so onto the main event. I mean that main event was what we needed. You know?
My opinion's a little different on this one.
Yeah.
Volkanovski and Ortega. Volkanovski put on a clinic, and Ortega showed some signs of life as much as he was allowed to by Volkanovski. Anytime Volkanovski finally let up, Ortega showed him, like, hey, can't do that. It was a really fun fight, but I think at the core of it, if you're an Ortega fan, it's not a fun fight.
Yeah.
He
was getting beat up.
You can pride yourself on his toughness all day long, but he lost that fight. He never looked good in that fight. Well, I'd give him. He looked good when he went for that guillotine.
3rd round, right? Yeah.
3rd or 4th.
He went for the anaconda in the 4th. That's what it was.
He looked real good when he went for that guillotine because Volkanovski falls down and he jumps all over it and gets that guillotine, gets the position, gets everything perfect.
Ties up his legs.
In like the matter of like a second and a half.
Yeah.
It was freaking crazy, like how fast he did that so well.
Yeah.
The triangle was okay. The anaconda was less okay, I think.
Yeah, the anaconda wasn't in at all. It wasn't threatening.
And I was just sitting there watching it, and I had said when we were watching it, I was like, oh, yeah, Volkanovski, all he's got to do is turn to his right, and he'll be fine. And eventually he did. Not only was he okay, but he got a better position.
He was in side control.
Yeah.
And, no, sorry, go ahead.
So that was pretty much the fight to me. It was everything was Volkanovski except for those few moments. And I know Ortega landed a lot of really good shots too, but in comparison to the amount of shots that Volkanovski landed, they don't matter.
Who's that? In the fight though, it's like you ever heard the saying, he's too tough for his own good?
Yeah.
As Brian Ortega.
Yes.
People were actually comparing the way that Max Holloway fucked up Brian Ortega to how Volkanovski did, and they were like, Max Holloway did it better. I'm like, guys, he's not the fucking champion anymore. Like, we gotta just let it go. I like Volkanovski a lot as champion. And not just that, but it's like, look, like those guys fight completely different, and they both did the same thing. They both battered a very tough opponent. Anytime you put Brian Ortega, put him against fucking number 3 in the division, he's gonna beat them. Put them against number 4, he'll beat them.
And you also got to think, Brian Ortega's top tier talent.
Yeah.
When he loses a fight, you have to think he's improving.
Yeah.
So this was probably a better Brian Ortega than the Brian Ortega that lost to Max Holloway.
You saw what he did to Korean Zombie?
Yeah.
He beat the shit out of Korean Zombie after that loss. And that's the thing, too, is I think Ortega was a much better version of himself coming in this fight with Volkanovski than whenever Ortega fought Max Holloway. I mean,
you can't really compare them. It's just like with Dustin and Conor. You can't really compare that. It's just different times, different fighters. So, again, I think Ortega looked great. Just, in the few moments that he had. They were just way too few and far between. Yeah.
Whenever, even in the first round, Ortega landed some good shots. The thing is, though, is the crowd kept the commentary team kept talking about these like shots that Ortega was landing, but he wasn't really landing them. If you see Volkanovski, he would do like this. I've seen some people do it. Is he kept putting his hand up to cover up the shots. Tyson Griffin used to do it all the time, and so it's like those shots aren't really landing though. They're literally bouncing off of his hand. They're not bouncing, but it's just like that hand is absorbing that sting on that punch. It's like those shots aren't landing, or Volkanovski just has the better striking. And I don't know. I really like Alexander Volkanovski. I like how he holds himself. He's a goofy ass dude. He did a shoey at the post.
He did several. He did one with a flip flop too.
Gross.
He held it like that and just kind of poured it down the flip flop as it flowed down.
Did he fold it like a taco?
No, but he should have.
That'd be better.
It was a little messy at the end.
I bet. But yeah, they said that. He said something. I haven't been this drunk in a minute or something. But I'm happy to see that these guys who come from New Zealand win, because they have to come all the way from they have to wait for six weeks to go
Australia.
back. Australia? Is he Australian?
Yeah.
Okay. He was. That's right. He is Australian, but he trains in New Zealand.
Yeah.
And So, but he has to wait like 6 weeks to go back home now.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount. Okay, so man, think about that shit though. Like he gets COVID, fight gets canceled, has to stay here. Hey, let's let you coach the Ultimate Fighter. Then now he has to wait 6 more weeks to go back.
Yeah, it's such a huge sacrifice.
Yeah.
He didn't get to see his family grow up.
No.
Or his kids.
Yeah.
Got kids.
Yeah, I got kids. Been out here for a minute. So, yeah, no, it's just, but, I mean, I'm happy that he won, though. And,
yeah.
I mean, it's just really hard. That just shows how good Volkanovski and Max Holloway are, though, to do that against the other best guy in the division.
Yeah. Do we see them get a trilogy fight here soon? Do you think?
Depending on if Holloway gets past Rodriguez.
All right, that was set up.
What's up?
That'll be an interesting one. I think he does.
I think he definitely does.
I like Rodriguez a lot, and I think he can win at any moment, but that's a tough one. Max Holloway's so good.
Yeah. I think I think a lot of people saw Ortega's true colors, though, leading into this fight.
Ortega's?
Yeah.
Oh, with the Ultimate Fighter stuff?
With that stuff and just some of the shit he was saying, he's just, I don't know, man. He's just something else.
You're whack.
He's whack.
Yeah. But yeah, that was the UFC 266. Let us know what your thoughts were. As far as the news, John Jones.
Oh, we haven't talked about that yet.
Yeah, John Jones got arrested.
Fucking idiot.
Within 12 hours of his fight with Gustafsson being inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
He got arrested for a misdemeanor and domestic violence. And there was some type of car accident or something where there was a lot of damage to property done. Yeah. And who knows what's going on there. Dana White's response was just saying, we're not shocked. It's not shocking anymore. We're not surprised.
You can't let what's his name?
You can't take him anywhere.
You can't take him to Vegas. That's just how he acts. I was super excited to see him back, and I was like, damn, like we're actually gonna see him at fucking heavyweight. It's like this spring 2022. Then that happens. I'm like, no, we're not. No, we're not.
Are you sure about that?
And so, right, dude, I love that. And yeah, man, it just sucks to see it. You really don't want to see anybody go through any troubles like that. You hope that they get straight. But I mean, dude, at some point though, it's like, when the fuck are you gonna stop? Like, you're a millionaire, dude. Like, why are you doing these things? You have all the talent in the world, and all you have to do is hire a driver. Hey, man, like, you want to drive me around? Yeah, here, I'll give you $10,000 to drive me around for the next month.
Shoot, give me $10 and I'll do it.
I'll do it for give me a bag of chips and a fucking Mountain Dew, and we're chilling. I
cover gas.
Yeah.
I'll drive around John.
I would do it for free.
Freaking John Sean Combs.
What? So what's it called? Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, you see McGregor was talking shit to Volkanovski.
Yeah, and Volkanovski was like, "Hey, we'll fight. That's fine. We'll do it at 155 if that's what it takes. Let's fight." I'm like, "Yeah, I want to see you defend your belt, though."
Yeah, I think he just is like, "Oh, okay, red penny night." Is that what you're saying?
Probably.
He's probably.
Which is it even that anymore? Are we even
I'm
gonna?
Sure.
I don't know. Conor McGregor's lost a lot of shine with a lot of people.
Yeah. People are still going to tune in and watch him fight. That motherfucker holds 7 of the top 10 most sold fights. Like, if you look at the top 10, he has 7 of them. That's insane.
It's those darn suits, man.
It's just fucking. But yeah, man, I don't know. Because one of the things I always said is, like, he should have stayed at 145, and no one agrees with me when I say that. But I fully feel that way, though. Like, I really do. Like, these guys at 155, like Donald Cerrone, if you cut back to it, these guys are just too big for him. They're better. Man. He did beat Donald Cerrone, but everybody beats Donald Cerrone.
That's not true.
What's that?
That's not true.
Come on, man.
Everybody. You're talking about the last 6 people?
Fucking Donald Cerrone hasn't been the same in a very long time.
Nah, he hasn't.
And... yeah, no, it's just I think Conor should have stayed at lightweight, man. I mean, sorry, featherweight.
Featherweight. Yeah. It would have been an interesting career for him if he had stayed there.
Yeah. I wish he would just, like, if going up to lightweight, I didn't see a problem with it, but I wish he would just relinquish the title and be like, no, I'm good. Like,
featherweight's where I'm at.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe the weight cut was just too much for him and he couldn't handle it, so he knows he can't do it.
Yeah. Then Henry Cejudo called him out.
Yeah, I remember seeing that, and I thought that was, You stop calling people out when you're retired.
Like, yeah.
You know, if you're going to come back, that's one thing. But you know you're not coming back. And if you do, like, well, why did you call out all these other guys and not come back? Why'd you come back for this guy?
Or you could just stop being, like, a jealous little bitch and fucking, like, let somebody have their moment. Like, no bantamweight champion and no flyweight champion can ever win anything with him having to say something.
Yeah.
It's like, shut up, dude. Like, you chose to walk away at the height of your career. Look at the guys you beat to... I mean, yeah, he beat Demetrius Johnson. Besides that, I mean, it's just like, okay, you beat a drawed-out TJ Dillashaw. And then look who you beat to defend your titles. You won the bantamweight. You beat Dominic Cruz, who... I mean, I think ring rust was a problem in that fight. He didn't look like himself at all. And then... he beat Marlon Moraes, who we all found out really quick didn't have a gas tank. And so, also Jake Shields spoke out about Nick Diaz. Yeah, he said that he only had like 6 weeks to train for that fight.
Why?
I don't know. Apparently Robbie Lawler had like fucking 10 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, he had 10 weeks, so he knew it was going on.
Yeah.
Nick Diaz knew it was going on too. What were you doing?
Yeah.
Why? It's not our fault. It's not Robbie Lawler's fault that they didn't set a camp up in time.
Yeah.
You don't even need a camp. Just be training.
Yeah. Be ready. Stay ready. Then Oscar De La Hoya and some more Dana White beef. That was pretty fucking funny. So this is what I told you about it. Oscar De La Hoya tweeted at Volk. He was like, "Hey Volk, you just won a brutal battle for UFC and made 1/20th of what you're worth. Dana White, have some fucking respect for yourself and these fighters and pay these warriors what they deserve." And so Dana White actually tweeted back at him and said, "Shut the fuck up, you crackhead, faking that you had COVID and robbing me of watching you get knocked the fuck out by Vitor Belfort. You should win an Academy Award for your hospital performance." I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say about Oscar De La Hoya these days.
You just run around in pantyhose, dude. And so Anthony Joshua lost.
Yeah, that's right. And we got Alexander Usyk, who is now freaking... I don't know if he got all of Joshua's titles.
How does that work?
I have no idea.
I always think that. Like, are all the titles on the line in boxing?
I have no idea. Up there? All I know is now what do we do?
Because that just fucked up the entire heavyweight picture.
Yeah. Do we have to wait and see who wins between Fury and Wilder, I guess. But it's like... what about Fury and Joshua? So it's like now, do I kind of want Fury to lose so that we can see Fury versus Joshua? Because I kind of just want to see them fight.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know.
Joshua just didn't look good.
I didn't see the highlights.
He looked slow. Usyk was just too much for him. Joshua looked slow. He looked a little sluggish. He wasn't really ready, and Usyk was, and that's why he won the fight. That's pretty much all there is to it. It was a decent boxing match, and it went to decision. Heavyweight match goes to decision. They get tired, you know.
Yeah. And
it didn't look bad at any point. It just they were tired.
Yeah.
So the numbers definitely slowed down in that fight, but he made sure he was on top as many rounds as he could be. So yeah, as far as the future, we'll have to see Wilder and Fury and go from there. Other than that, and I don't know. Yeah. I don't know after that because as far as Wilder and Fury, I feel like Fury's got it.
It sucks because like a couple years ago, I was saying I feel like boxing's on a resurgence, and then now I feel like Deontay Wilder just had to fuck it all up. Like everyone was so excited for Joshua versus Fury finally, and it was like watching who was it? Fucking Terrence Crawford was supposed to fight somebody, and then or Earl Spence, right?
Earl Spence, yeah.
So like it's the same exact thing. Like that fight should have happened 3 years ago. And then now, like, looking back at Tyson versus Fury versus Joshua, like, that fight should happen 2 years ago. You know? And now we're not seeing it, and it's fucking with that whole thing. I mean, of course, good thing we have one active boxer, like, megastar with Canelo.
Yeah, and he's always going to be doing stuff, apparently, and he's always going to look good doing it. So, I mean, even if it's just a press conference where you outbox your opponent before the boxing match even starts. Hey,
he's already got to win.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Alistair Overeem said that this year will be his last year in fighting combat sports.
Oh.
He said his end is coming. And I'm like, motherfucker, your end came like
a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Sometimes when these fighters, they get that second prime, or third prime, they just hold on to it. And it's like, Yeah, this is like his fourth prime. He picked up a couple wins and kept doing it. Then I don't know. And he fights Volkov. He said he wanted to retire in the UFC originally. He's like, I wanted to retire in the UFC, but I get why they let me go though.
Yeah, yeah, buddy.
Yeah. And so I don't know. I'm happy to see him going though.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that'll do it for this episode. Let us know your thoughts on what's going to happen with Wilder and Fury, and who do you think makes it better matchup for Alexander Usyk? Let us know your thoughts on UFC 266 and the future of the featherweight division, bantamweight division.
Yep.